Thanks for coming in today, Carleen. It's been awesome to meet you and recently learn about how you've helped the community in Nelson with the vaccine injuries. And I really love and appreciate the support of the Billy Guyton Foundation, and we hope that we can support you and what you've done with the vision table and supporting people that have been injured. Do you want to just introduce yourself? Yeah.
Thank you, sure. My name is Carleen Reich Simko, and I'd like to give you a little bit of background. I've been in Nelson for over 20 years, and I've always been what I consider a health advocate. And when the rollout started with the vaccination, a group of us got together who had been mandated out of social circles and careers because we knew the science behind these injections, and we knew that it was harmful. There was a lot of world experts and scientists, Dr. Yeadon. I could go in, there's a lot more than that, but anyway, they had been on social media saying about what the harms would be. So a group of us, we were anywhere from midwives to teachers to teaching nurses. We said we've got to do something to help soften the blow to this impact. So in 21, we launched Vision, Vaccine Impacted Support Network. And we wanted to support those not only who were getting injured, but to support their families as well. The biggest thing that we saw happening was the psychological damage to people being isolated from their families and friends for choosing not to take the injections. So we started, at the time we had a website built in 22, and then we decided we would do different ways of approaching to help other people. So we settled on a three-prong approach, which was offer resources, offer group peer-to-peer counseling and individual counseling, and doing community outreach through community outreach tables that were willing to meet people eyeball to eyeball and hear their stories. And I was leading the community outreach aspect. At the time, we had a table in Nelson and in Motueka, and currently the one in Motueka is still going strong on Sundays outside their Sunday market.
Cool.
So that was the main gist, was to spread awareness and offer people a safe space where people could be heard, valued, and respected, and very, very inclusive.
That's you're very brave to do that when everyone was going with the mainstream science and the media.
Thank
so
you.
100% applaud you for that.
Thank you.
And it's really cool to see someone so courageous. How's the feedback, because you've been on Trafalgar Street for 3-4 years, how's the feedback from the public been?
Well, it's really interesting because it was such a progression of attitude. So you're right, when we first started, we really had to put our big boots on and get brave, because it was the time where people thought we were not only crazy, but we were out to hurt them. So it was a lot of pushback, sometimes some physical. People really were physical on us. And we just, again, we had the best intention of trying to warn. So it went from people giving us what I'd say stink eye and thinking we were crazy and wanting nothing to do with us, to a progression where people were starting to say, wait a minute, I'm having all these health issues I never had. Could it possibly be from the jab? But again, every time they would go to doctors, they'd be fobbed off and said, oh, it has nothing to do with it. So a lot of people just thought they were crazy. Once we started putting a sign out listing all the different adverse effects, then people started stopping and literally reading it. And then the penny was dropping. So that time, people's attitude was, I think there's something of truth of what they're saying, because we're now personally experiencing it in our life.
Yeah.
And then fast forward another year, now 2 years, there's really no pushback. People get it. Unfortunately, they got it the hard way, that yes, huge amount of people are walking around vax injured, and they're very appreciative. We get a lot of thumbs up. Thank you for what you've been doing. And it's a much different scene than it was at the beginning.
Yeah, it takes a lot of grit to go through the public abuse, and you said physical even. So I guess I'm super inspired by people like yourself.
Oh, thanks.
With the resources that you've been offering? Do you want to talk about some of those that you've been helping people understand how to recover from the vaccine injuries?
Sure, I'd love to share that. I think knowledge is power, and I really wanted to see people get well on this healing journey. So we put together a detox guide that have some really wonderful suggestions of what you can do free to boost your immune system, such as taking vitamin C, vitamin D, and zinc. And we ended up putting together some really healthy lifestyle eating habits, so things you could do right away to boost your immune system, such as getting rid of seed oils, intermittent fasting. That really helps a lot. Organic food, plenty of sleep and water, just really some basic things that could help improve your immune system. And we have some links to local and international groups that can help support you in other ways. For example, NZD SOS, they have a helpline and they're local. There's New Zealand Health Forum. Linda Wharton has been a warrior for those vax injured online on Telegram. And there's the World Council for Health. They're international, and they've been very helpful with science and some other things they can offer. We also have 17 people that we interviewed who are top-notch quality health practitioners who are out of your traditional system that we could put the business cards out. My hope is that by stopping here at your center and with your wonderful commitment for those who have not only concussion, which is not talked about that much, but with vax injuries, that people can access here at your center the resources for helping them detox, helping them change their eating habits to boost their immune system, and then we can give them a brochure that links to, again, like NZD SOS. Voices for Freedom is another wonderful group that's social, that's awake to what is really going on, and New Zealand Health Forum, Linda Wharton. So there's a lot of things on that brochure that I think would be really helpful.
With the data coming out of our medical system with the excess deaths and the impact on people psychologically with mental health issues occurring, and like you said, Linda Wharton's been sharing support and information online. What sort of support do you think people need when they become aware of what's happened in our medical system and what actually happened with the vaccine and the virus?
Well, I would say the first thing that I suggest is find people that you can trust that will listen to you. Of all the data, of all the information we put out on the tables, what it came down to, what people really needed the most, was to be held in a space of loving support and to be listened to. That was the biggest lesson that I learned, because I thought it was, if I gave them all the data, this would be what they wanted. At the end of the day, it was just to be very present with an open heart of caring and listen to what they needed to say about it. I would say if the penny's dropping for you and you're needing help, the first thing I would say is find some mates that will listen to you sincerely, and so you don't feel fobbed off and judged. Okay, that's the first psychological thing you can do. And then as far as what you can do to get help, find some alternative health providers. And I really, really support Dr. Peter McCullough's protocols, and he's on our brochure, and you can find him online. And there's another organization, FLCCC, Flick Protocol Guidelines, science-based, lots of good information about detoxing, because this is a poison to your system. And I would also suggest that NZD SOS, they've got a helpline, and there'll be a nurse practitioner who's willing to help you with supplements or suggestions of other medicines you can take to help your body detox from this spike protein.
Thank you, Carleen. That's really good advice. I think the other side of that is, like, we can't get this information or medical care and emotional support from the mainstream. There's a lot of gaslighting going on in terms of psychological support, and even the medical support's not really there. Do you have, would you share a personal opinion about what's causing this?
Because this government signed contracts, and we're still to this day trying to get our hands, I'm not personally, but other people are, on that Pfizer contract. And you will not be finding any doctor in the system that will be telling you the truth, because they are under the guidelines of the medical council here. And personally, they will be threatened and taken to court if they tell what's really going on, and that the jab is injurious and that it's toxic, and if they tell the truth, then they risk losing their medical careers. And they've got mortgages, you know.
Families to feed.
They've got families to feed, but that's the reality and the truth of it. And it breaks my heart how many people I've talked to in tears, because they just keep getting fobbed off, and they think somehow that system is going to help them out, and it's not. It's not going to help them out, because they are protecting their backside.
It's ultimate corruption,
you know,
isn't it?
Think of it this way: Big Pharma doesn't make their billions if people are healthy, do they?
Exactly, yeah. And I guess the cool thing is for people finally being able to realise that it has happened. What's the step for more people to become confident and speak out free of fear, do you think, Carleen, through your experience with talking to the public and the community? How do people get over the pain? And then how do you think that they can find confidence to speak the truth publicly? Like you have for so many years. What gave you that sort of brave edge, courageous passion to speak the truth?
Well, I can only say, even when I was this little, scrawny little kid, I hated injustice. Just ever since I was small. And I really care about my fellow human beings. And I do believe in a higher power, God. I believe in Jesus. I believe in Mother Mary. I believe that there are guides in our lives that give us strength. And I'm made for this time. And it's love. You know, it's love. It's love of my fellow human beings, and I could not sit back and go to sleep at night thinking I've done nothing. And a lot of us said the same thing. I always told my children, because I have been a health advocate for many things here. 1080, brodifacoum dropping, poisoning the water, 5G, fluoride, all of it. You know, and I said, when the day comes, I meet you on the other side, you know, I want to look you in the eye and said, I did know, but I did do something about it to my best ability. And that's just me, so I can sleep at night. You know, everyone's got their line in the sand. What will you be willing to do, not only to stand up in honor for yourself, but your family, and do what's right? And that's something every person has to really have an in-depth conversation with their own heart.
That's a powerful statement for people that have young kids. I guess we're fortunate that Trump and his team have become the American leaders, because without that happening, I think we could have been in a different state in the next few years. And even with them trying to change things in the Western world, it hasn't stopped some of our ministers carry on with the same type of ideologies and the same manipulation in the government and the medical system.
Yes, it's a big story. It is a huge story. And there's many, many articles, books online, people talking about the bigger story of how did this happen, where every country got in lockstep and rolled out something like this. I suggest another person for facts. His name is Dr. David Martin. Check him out.
Okay.
He was able to trace the patents going back to DARPA, which is military industrial complex, and funding through gain of function. And that is what is at the root of the rollout. And that went to Wuhan. So the lab, this virus was created in a lab, and then once you get where are these, quote, governments coming from, who are they really, that will open up a massive box. And personally, not everyone is ready, and I've come to the conclusion from doing the work that I've been doing that the soul is not ready as yet to understand the full extent of what has been happening to us as a civilization. And I would just say be kind to each other, because when a soul is ready to hear the truth, then they will ask you questions, and you can direct them to more information. Okay, so that's, I've been trying to, try to understand, scratching my head, why is it I talk to the homeless people and they understand what's going on and they didn't take the jab, and yet I've got someone telling me they have 3 PhDs and I'm crazy and they know exactly what's going on and they've had 4. What is happening here? And I came to that conclusion. It is really a soul thing.
Yeah, and I guess that's where you can rely on your faith in Jesus and find love through that framework and find peace with what's going on, because it can be quite a painful journey, to slowly wake up and realise, like, everyone's probably, I guess that's why, a big reason why we're trying to support people in this way at the Billy Godden Foundation, because it is a painful journey to realise what's happening to our society. And even in little old Nelson, people are slowly realising, but it will take time and people will need support on the journey. So
And I would like to say how wonderful it is that you, like many others, have stepped up and said, I've got to do something. And you're doing it from a place of love, That's huge, because that just ripples out. And again, that's what people feel. You don't have an agenda. This has all been volunteer.
4 years.
I don't think I could say that for Big Pharma.
No.
Who always that old saying, follow the money, right?
Yeah.
What do we have to gain from doing this?
Mm.
Nothing but doing what's good and feels right for our heart, So thank you for what you're standing up for concussion. A lot of people see the sports of rugby and they look at it as entertainment, but they don't understand and comprehend what's going on the behind the scene with these players being really injured and how that's impacting their family and their friends. It's huge. And it was interesting because I ended up having a concussion injured older sister that I took care of for 7 years, was her primary guardian and caregiver from a car accident. So interesting that our paths would cross, because yes, it's a big commitment to support those with concussions as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Carleen. Thank you very much.
I'd like to add again that if there's anyone out there who would like to have a beautiful space to be heard and a space to be cared about, there's a wonderful vision team giving resources and information and hugs, which we do a lot of, outside the Motueka art market that's happening on Sundays from 10 to 12. So you can find people there. And I'd like to also add that I'd be more than happy to be available for those who would like to walk in personally to Billy Guyton Center here. We're next to the Bin Inn. If you'd like to walk in on Wednesdays from 12 to 2, I'd be more than happy to talk to you about what's on your heart about vaccine injury, or even how the whole thing has affected you. There's millions of people walking around still holding a lot of trauma from what has happened. And I also have some resources I can refer you on if you'd like to a really beautiful counselor that's on our team that could possibly help you as well.
Cool. Thank you so much. It's awesome
You're
to
welcome.
talk to you, and hopefully people can reach out and connect with us and heal from what's happened and move forward together.
That's the idea.
Cool.